to another episode of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We're documenting the journey of amazing entrepreneurs, one digital footprint at a time. With me, I have Rick Leutwyler, Event Spark.
Yes.
How you doing, sir?
Great. It's good to be here.
You know every event venue in the world.
No, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about this particular venture that you have, Event Spark.
Event Spark is an online shopping tool for the consumer to find a place to have an event, and that can be a wedding, as we were talking about. It can
Amazingly
be a
coincidental.
birthday party, a bat mitzvah, whatever it might be. But you can actually go online and say, I have this many people on this date, I have this budget, and it comes back and says, well, here's the ones that meet that. So it is available. It's within your price range, it can hold a number of people, and then it gives them all kinds of great information, visual and otherwise, so that they can choose. So it just makes that process a lot easier.
Rather than, what did we do before?
Well, I can tell you, for instance, we were talking earlier, when my daughter was getting married a few years ago, the process was, hey Dad, can you look up some places online and find them? So you would do the search and you would find whatever they had online, and often it wasn't great. And then you would have to call somebody to say, is it available on these dates? And then you have to find out
Sure.
if it's in your price. And then
Sure.
so it's this back and forth and takes a lot of time. And here we've just shorten that dramatically. And then, so it's great on our side, the consumer,
Right.
but then the other side is that we're able to offer the person who has the space the ability to manage the space in terms of, is it available and what's the price? Because the price around Super Bowl in Arizona is going to be different than it is in the middle of the summer. Well, we have a tool that's patent pending that allows them to keep that inventory up to date, as well as the pricing up to date, and manage the content, so if they've remodeled a room or whatever. So it's great on both sides.
My next comment was actually going to be how reliable and how up to date is this information, which is, that would be my first question, because it's one thing to have this great platform, right? And you have all these rooms available, presumably they are available, and it's not like the old bait didn't switch, right?
That's right.
I have the 6595,
That's right.
just 3,000 square foot room for you. Boy, I got a deal for you.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing. It is still up to the person who manages the space to use the tool to keep it there.
Of course.
But it's to their advantage as well, because they not only then, whether they're talking to someone, they can look and see, they know if somebody's made a booking request online, but it is still up to them, and so it's fallible, but it's a lot better than it has
It's much
been.
better than, And I guess what I meant to say in my original question was, how did we find these places before the internet?
Oh, that's even harder, Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, and we let our fingers do the walking.
Right.
For those of you who do not know what let your fingers do the walking, because we got a lot of videos of it.
Yeah.
What is it talking? Whatever, Google it.
That's right.
How do you come up with this kind of idea?
Actually, I didn't. This actually was a good friend of mine who came up with the idea, because he had been in this world for a long time of the event space and revenue management.
Sure.
So he came up with the idea and brought together a team of people to help pull it together. And I actually invested in it a few years ago, and they launched it, they got it out into the marketplace, and then they started to struggle with the money and the direction. And so they called upon me when I was taking a break from my normal corporate life and asked me to come in and work with them. So I'm an investor in it, and I've been working with them since their early days as a strategic advisor, and more recently took on to take the lead for it.
You have all these places that are available in your platform. How do you market this platform? How do I know about this?
Well, there's two different things. One is, of course, we have a website, eventspark.com, and so if you go to search, and we've done a good job of our content and keywords and so forth, then not only would that location perhaps come up, but ours would come up. There is social media marketing associated with it.
Okay.
The other thing that we're doing, it's not out in the market yet, but we're working on it, is to give the owner of the space the ability to use our way of presenting it and what's in that back-end tool about rates and inventory on their own website.
Okay.
Because then they're already doing, theoretically, some marketing to drive business to them, but many of them don't have a good way to present their space, because it isn't just a total event space customer. Sometimes it's a restaurant that has rooms that can be used for that. Sometimes it's a golf resort that has rooms that can be used for that. So they may do a good job of advertising their golf or their restaurant, but not necessarily about the space. And so we're giving them away in a private label version where exactly the same way they would look on eventspark.com, they'll now look within their own site, and they don't have to keep track of it in different places. And now they're getting value just because they're using the tool. And at the same time, they're then represented on eventspark.com so that that capacity is growing as well. But a lot of it's online marketing, social media is just powerful because that's how people are looking. Like you said, they're using the internet, and so that's where our primary focus is.
And that's where you make or break, because if I mean, you can have the most beautiful platform, the best platform in the world, but if nobody knows about it, then it becomes very, very,
it's so true.
Localized, and definitely you don't want that.
And that's true too. We were talking with one of your team members earlier about the other business I'm working with right now. I actually did found and create, and that's called Philanthropy. That's a mouthful.
Say that 3 times. Say that 3 times. I got to get all the St. Patrick Day people to say philanthropy 3 times.
That was good. I think I've run into one person who pronounced it right the first time without me saying it. They just read it and said it right, and I was stunned. But this is something that, unlike most of the businesses we probably talk about, it was not created to make a profit. It was created to make a difference. And so I've been on the boards of nonprofits for many years and involved in different ways in volunteering and also in business. And so I'd have these nonprofit leaders come to me and say, Rick, can you help us with X? Or do you know anybody who can do Y? And so I was becoming a bit of a matchmaker for these nonprofits.
Sure.
And also for the people who I knew who had gifts and skills and liked to do good with them, but maybe they didn't know who wanted it or how to do it. So after a while I thought, well, that's great, except I'm pretty limited to who I know on both sides of that formula. So what if I made some kind of matchmaking service for that? And that's what I started out to do. And after months of research, trying to get ready, I found that there were actually a couple of companies doing it. They call it skills-based volunteering. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, well, great. And I wrote them, and I said, well, here's what I had in mind, and it's you do most of it, but is the rest of it interesting to you? And they said, oh, yeah, that sounds great. And I said, well, good, then I don't need to do it. But in the meantime of my research, I found literally thousands of resources available to nonprofits and people like you and me and to organizations that if they want to make a difference, they're out there just for that purpose. But when I would talk to my friends, when I would talk to the nonprofit leaders, they didn't know about most of them. And so that's what Philanthropy is. It is a site where individuals, organizations, nonprofits can go, and they actually look for the resources by category of what can help them. Where are they at a place with a challenge, with a need, and then it's all there. And it's free to everyone. It's free to be listed on it. It's free to use it. And so that one was, very much a heart thing, not a wallet thing.
What drives that passion, Rick? This is all about your journey, your venture, and kind of getting into. You're a very passionate man, naturally, and you have this amazing business acumen. But what drives that? What fuels your fire?
I don't know where it started, but my wife in June will have been married 38 years, so she knows me better than anyone. And she recalls conversations from early on in our marriage where I was reading a book, and it was all about helping to break a cycle that holds people back. And so as I read that, it just really connected with me. And I thought, Dad, that's what I feel called to do, help break cycles. So I did that in different ways. I was a big brother in college. I was on boards for, there's an organization here in town that does housing for homeless families. Mm-hmm. Now I'm on the board of a group called Orchard Africa that works in rural villages in Africa. But all of it was about people are in a cycle, and if they can't get some help to get out of that cycle, how will it ever get broken? How can they reach the potential? And maybe some of it comes to just feeling extremely blessed and knowing that others are in a place where they can't reach the blessings. And so my hope was that with something like Philanthropy, I don't have to be involved at all. And not that I don't want to be, but just that it's there. It's always there, 24/7. We're always adding resources to it. There's always new registered users. People are finding each other through this process. And so I hope that cycles are being broken.
We've done this show for now a number of months, and we've interviewed just phenomenal people, just entrepreneurs from all colors, creeds, backgrounds, etc., etc. And once in a while, I get to talk to somebody that it really fascinates me, and that is you, because you're talking about breaking cycles.
Yeah.
We tend to continue doing the same thing, the same cycle all the time, expecting different results, which is of course the definition of insanity. But and somebody like you comes in and disrupts that and tries to, wait a minute, maybe why don't we break the cycle? Let's try to do something different. And I think that approach to entrepreneurship, that approach to life, I think that a lot of us should take it into our own lives in order to disrupt and to break our own mini cycles, if you will, that we experience in order to advance, in order to progress, in order to grow.
Yeah. Well, and really for me, a lot of it is just trying to empower others who are trying to break those cycles. Because that was the other thing I saw, is there's just so many people out there trying to do good things.
Yep.
And especially, there's millions of nonprofits. And sure, some of them are huge and they've got bigger budgets than a lot of the people you're interviewing here.
Right.
But a lot of them have almost nothing. And yet, if they could just have this one more thing, if they could have somebody help them write their public relations campaign, if they could have somebody help them with a social media campaign, but they don't have the money for it. That money's going to help the child or the family or whatever.
Right.
And so they're doing the great work. And hopefully Philanthropy is just making it possible for them to go further and go further and go further.
Amazing work.
Thank you.
Amazing work. I'm just in awe. Did you like this place, by the way?
This is a cool place.
Do you think that we can put it in a big Sparks?
I haven't. We should.
We should.
I've been in this area, although not a lot. I live way up in Cave Creek, so
you don't have any reason to come
down. But when I saw this space, I took a couple of pictures already,
please.
And I thought, wow, this is a cool space. I like this. So congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And I am very honored. And the information that we get today, this is my therapy, right? Because people like you inspire me, and if I'm inspired, I can take that message to others and hopefully inspire others as well, because it just makes me feel like I haven't done enough as you have, and that teaches us a lesson also.
Thank you very much.
Man.
All right.
Appreciate it, Rick. I appreciate it. And thank you for giving Taylor, our videographer, the tip for she's getting married. Yeah, she's getting married.
Yeah.
Wow. She's all grown up. With that, we're out.